Hello, you're listening to Talking Out of Slot, the Slot Card Podcast. This week, slightly unexpectedly, because I'm just off a plane back from America, we're going to be doing an episode where we're going to be talking about what caught our eye, what are the favourite runners and riders in the hotly contested Slot Car of the Year Awards, as we're halfway through the year, and I'll be trying to talk knowledgeably and enthusiastically about the cars I've been having fun in the garage with. Pedro, what are you going to be talking about?
I will just be responding to you, I suspect. I was expecting a nicer intro. I was expecting, and here's my erstwhile stalwart, Steve McQueen, looky-likey, partner in crime.
Okay, I'll do it again. Hello, I'm Scott. Here's my erstwhile partner in crime, Steve McQueen, looky-likey. Can I have less of a tongue twister? It's
Pedro. I've got a few things that have caught my eye. So
go on. Why don't you start with that then?
Oh, because I thought you'd go first, and because I hadn't completely ready. So what has caught my eye? I'm on the wrong part of the show. It's like we haven't been away, and we haven't been. It's only 10 days since we did this last, and already it feels like we're starting day one again. But I can't do that one because I swore too much in my description.
There's this week's competition is which car was Pedro talking about when he swore too much?
Which Instagram post about slot cars absolutely triggered Pedro? Well, I put something about what the actual music that accompanied this particular post. Did you see that? We're going back a bit here because we have been away, dear listener, because someone went on his hollybobs. Did you see Revo Slot doing the C5?
Yes, I did.
Now, I posted on Slot Forum. Other slot forums are available. Other slot forums, but they're not called slotforum.com. I postulated wildly that there's some kind of... Have you seen a Marcos, a fly one, next to a Revo one? They're like they came out of the same mould. They're almost indistinguishable. Then suddenly turning around and doing a C5, I thought, hang on, didn't Fly do a C5? Because it's an odd one to go back to, I thought.
Well, I think I've mentioned this before. Revo Slot bodies are a bit odd. So the 911 is clearly a kind of, let's call it, homage to the old Pro Slot car, because the windscreen pillar length of the nose thing is all wrong in the same way. And then, as you say, the Marcos looks... I mean, if you're making a model of the same car, you would think it would look the same anyway, so that's possible.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's when there's just something about it is a little bit too similar, isn't it? But then things like the Supra and the Toyota GT1 were nice, and they were, as far as I know, new molds. And then we've seen things like the Opel and a couple of the others, which have been slightly odd as well. So, dear Revo Slot, dear BRM, if you're listening, well done, because we're speaking English, and I think you're Italian. Let us know what's the logic behind the bodies. Is it have you bought the rights to some old molds? Is the statute of limitations up on some of these things, or what? But yes, having said that, your original question, is it an odd thing to go back to?
I mean, it's a money spinner, isn't it? It's a guaranteed. I also postulated that dear Dave Kennedy would call it, I think, awesome, but he actually called it fantastic twice. I think it's a guaranteed money spinner, even if you start sticking stupid liveries on it, like Repsol, or is it? No, they do Martini, don't they? Revo Slot do Martini. But there's quite a few genuine ones, and I guess the North American sales will just be through the roof.
Maybe, yeah, I guess. I mean, I sort of like Corvettes, but I've got some Fly ones, and I can't see myself buying any more.
Well, I had a Fly C5 because it fitted the first rule of Pedro's buying of slot cars, which is buy cars that you have seen run. And so I did see that run in 99, maybe 2000, maybe 2001, not sure.
A long time ago. Some of our listeners won't be that old, you know that, don't you?
That's quite scary. Yeah, so I might be tempted, but I feel I kind of scratched that itch. So, but they'll sell them in the States, won't they?
Well, and the other problem with Revo Slot for me is, of course, the mysterious lap counter triggering halfway around the lap phenomenon that only happens with Revo Slot cars.
The phenomenon.
So just a reminder, I've got a Carrera bridge lap timer thing, which is optical, so it senses the car passing underneath it. And every other car works fine. And a Revo slot, it'll trigger 4 or 5 times going around the lap. And I have no, the physics of why that's happened completely defeats me. But it always happens with a Revo slot car. So I'm guessing it's got something to do with a metal chassis. But as I say, the physics of why is beyond me.
It's beyond me.
It's beyond me too. Okay, well, I think the only thing that really caught my eye, because I was, as you see, on holiday. Well, I wasn't really. I was visiting family. The family just happens to live in North America, so you have to get on a plane.
Did you pop in on the two Americans that listen to this?
Sadly, no. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to America, but it's quite a big place.
Is it? Is it?
Well, it's also very confusing because my sister. Because for British listeners, my sister lives in Londonderry, which we all know is in Northern Ireland, and it's right next to Manchester, which we all know is in Northern England. And I think, as just along from Northampton, which is in the middle of England. Anyway, all the place names are very familiar, but they're all in the wrong places and they're all the wrong size. So that's quite confusing. But
do the people in Manchester have the swagger?
All
right, and the whole Manchester. All right, Manchester.
They talk with the Boston accent sort of thing. So rather than
I can't do that one.
Boston. It's an hour north of Boston, which is why maybe like 20 years ago, when I was visiting before, I stumbled across a slot car track in the aforementioned Manchester, but it was a sort of thingy track, and there was a guy was rented it out by the half hour or whatever. But he let me have a blast round with it. It was one of the few times I drove a thingy. But I don't think that's even in operation anymore. I did have a quick Google slot car stores. I learned to translate English when I'm over there. Slot car stores near me, and all it came up with was a few kind of toy shops that were selling a bit of Carrera Go. So,
Tish,
not real slot cars, not real slot cars. No. But what caught my eye, even from way over there, were the pictures and the discussion. Let's call it that. Let's call it a discussion about the new Skeletric Cobras with the very small driver and the very tall windscreen. I don't know my Cobras well enough, but it doesn't look quite right to me. And I think there's some other discussion I said it's possibly not the case. However, having said all of that, the ones with the hard top on look very. Is that who that is? Is it?
That's the green one. Yeah,
looks very sexy.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the proportions of driver to windscreen seem to be less crucial because it's got a roof.
Has he got a cushion to sit on as well? Because the open top Targa Florio one, he definitely looks like they were stripping weight and sit away with the seat.
Maybe it was an aerodynamic thing. Maybe he was sort of slunking down in the cockpit, so they got a bit more RPM down the streets.
Or it could be they've
compensate for the barn door windscreen. Sorry.
Maybe they've modelled it as it would look under heavy braking. In that has kind of the massive forces have stretched the windscreen and pushed the driver into the footwell. So he shrunk down and the windscreen has extended. It does look wrong and it's very disappointing, that one, I have to say. But then, as my disappointment was reaching new levels, that Sean Pendle put up a picture of the Bill Shepherd one, and I thought, well, that is quite nice.
Yeah. So that was kind of the only thing that's really caught my eye. So back to you.
We're playing table tennis.
Sort of. Plus that, it gives me a chance to have a small micro dose. I have been up for 36 hours or something.
I noticed this because I'm petty-minded like this. When I said the C5 will sell well in North America, I couldn't help but notice the Thunderslot Shadow DN4, which was slated by that young Mr. Kennedy as being car of the year, hasn't sold out. The restock has not sold out, and I think it's not sold out globally because Sean still has them, and the American Sean, whose name I've forgotten, but he trades with Electric Dreams,
Marco.
they've still got them. Although their website still has this little thing saying a purchaser is limited to 3 units, which I thought was amusing. As in the capitalists in America, I guess, were trying to scoop them up and stick them on the Bay of E to flog them at profit.
Some speculation been going on.
Yeah, but they haven't sold out. And I just wondered, was it just too niche? I mean, they only made 1,900 of them, he said, tentatively thinking he might have that wrong. They only made a small number, and the first lot went, and I think the first lot was the market. The rest are sitting gathering dust, which doesn't surprise me because it's a weird little car. It's a very nice model, but a weird looking car. And I don't want one.
Well, the volume of this is an old topic of debate, isn't it? So the old days when a slot car manufacturer would make 5,000, 10,000.
Did they ever make 10,000 or something?
Yeah, well, I mean, even some of those Electric Classic gift sets are sort of 10,000, or certainly a lot of them were 5,000. Yeah. And I think, again, not giving tittle-tatting away, so someone I know who imports one of the smaller brands in the past said, he was minimum order of 5,000 and they were sold out within days. It's a different world now, I think, because there's no big toy shops taking them. There's no sort of high street. I'm guessing the kind of Toys R Us type scenario doesn't exist. So the volumes which are getting produced are much lower. But then they've got to try and juggle make a minimum number in order to make it worth doing. And I think that car was always going to be a challenge because I'm no shadow expert, but there's going to be a series of cars which are all black with a different number on them, I would think.
No, I think there was one in red. I just made that up. I think there was one in red.
Oh, well, you mean, again, fancy livery. Which, talking about, sweating the mould, hats off to Skeletric for bringing out yet another 6-wheel Tyrrell with an airbox, the sort of funny, big, chunky wrap-round airbox, which I must confess I thought was only on the car at the presentation. I don't think it ever raced, but they've got it listed as having been at Spanish Grand Prix. So for that's a car which kind of existed in 2 years for one team, so possibly 2 liveries. But I think they've done quite well stretching that one. So all going back to why you I know you've kind of kept an eye on Shadow Stock, haven't you? Stock Watch.
Well, only because Pedro. I think I want to counter anyone who says Car of the Year, but I don't know exactly what the because I don't like people just declaring Car of the Year and then changing their minds. No names, no pack drill.
Was you mean?
Well, you know what? I'm going to be totally upfront and clear you of all responsibility. That was me. I done that. Which one did I declare first? The Cat. Was it the Cat Caterpillar Skull Auto NSX, which has finally come into my possession, and I do love it to bits, although I have issues with it, but I do love it to bits. So that was clearly going to be Car of the Year, because I'd completely forgotten about the Bastos Rover. And
Bastos Rover.
In almost the next post, Sideways Huracan, Direction Racing. Oh, Car of the Year. Get in there, as they say.
Okay, I think, since we've drifted into you're halfway through the year, what do we think? If there was a leaderboard, if there was a kind of favourites, if it was a US election that went on forever, then I think the runners and riders have got to be, in no particular order, the MR slot car Shadow, depending on whether it's got to be a new mould or reliveries, the Penske Ferrari from Slot It. That seemed to be very popular.
Do you mean the 512, the Sunoco?
The 512, the Sunoco one, yeah. I haven't got one. I think, I have got one. I've got a Bastos Rover, sorry, but I haven't got. There's a number of Skeletric cars which have yet to come. So the Land Rover, I think, will, in a way, be a slightly left field. Get it, off-road choice.
Did you do that deliberately?
I did.
That in?
Well, it seemed clever to me, but I am very tired.
And sometimes
Then,
I accuse you of not being professional, and then you just do that kind of thing. Bang! Wow, not worthy.
so well, I would say it's too early to call, but my own
Don't let that stop you.
choice, my leader at the minute, as we go past the halfway mark, for largely emotional reasons, but I will justify it on other grounds, is the Skeletrix Bastos rover.
Is that because you knew the driver and chatted with him?
Yeah, and I got ridden in one, and I had a rover, and all. There's a whole myriad of reasons why, but I still think it's a nice model, and it goes well, and it's kind of that's good. It's not a speed craze moron. Is that what you refer to these things? It's a good model toy car sort of thing. If you were things that push the boundary, then I think I suspect by the end of the year I'll probably be voting for the Land Rover, because I think it's as I said, it's a left field. It's an interesting, different choice, which will probably sell out time and time again. So,
but will Electric Dreams restrict you to only 3 units per purchase?
Well, it might not sell well in the US of A, because I'm not sure how familiar they are. It's not quite the icon that it is.
I'm sure if they
UK.
just scratch out the bit that says Land Rover and put, I don't know, what was it, Jeep Cherokee? Put Jeep on it. There you go.
Put Jeep.
Wow.
I was I've been in. Did I say I've been in the US? I've been in the US, and my nephew's high school graduation, and he has a very bright green Jeep, which has, instead of Jeep on the side of it, it says Greep, because it's green, and I quite like it. It's the Greep. It's huge, but anyway, enough of my non-holiday. So what's your, if you were putting money on a car of the year so far, what would it be? I'm going to say the Bastos Rover.
Oh, it would without any shadow. See what I did there?
Anything you can do, I can do better.
No shadow of a doubt. It would be the one I like the most. That would be the one. I would be hard pushed with the current offerings. I do really quite like the Direction Racing Huracan. The fact that they managed to get it out before me is slightly annoying. I put a picture. Did I put that on the socials? I don't think I did, actually. I'll maybe do that. They got the colours right. I got the colours wrong. And I looked at it. I put them side by side, and I thought, do I just strip this down again and start all over again? Or do I just bite the bullet and just get another set of decals, slap them on, and walk away, which is what I'm currently planning to do. But I do like that one. I think it's a very pretty livery. It's a very nice little car, and I'm very happy with it. Bastos Rover OVS is got to be up there. Land Rover when it appears. Fab 1 when that appears. Again, left field. I was trying to make a pulling the strings joke there, but it won't work. It just won't work. And a lot of people might not know that Thunderbirds was puppets anyway. But I also really like, and I think it was this year, the C-Class from Slotted. Certainly in the ProMark delivery. That is a peachy thing.
And you know what we haven't even mentioned yet, and people are probably writing angry emails as we think.
The Maserati from Paul Ricard.
No.
It's not out yet, but it will be.
You hope that's not it. No, the F1 Ferrari from Policar. You know, the red one, 1982.
You mean the one I raced at Gaydon?
Did you?
Yeah.
No.
I raced
No, that was a 70s one. The 1982, Gilles Villeneuve, Didier Pironi.
Sorry.
See? Interesting that that slipped
we
our
had completely
attention.
missed that. Is that because neither of us have made the purchase there?
Possibly. We may be myopic. Also, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I think it's under hotly anticipated. That's definitely got to be one of those. Anyway, we'll see. in 6 months' time, we'll make our mind up and curb the wrath of slot car makers and fans across the globe.
They'll cut us out, won't they? They'll cut us out.
Cuts out. Yeah, the advertising is really going to dry up. What?
What doesn't matter, Scott, because we've got the merch sales too.
The merch is good. The merch is good. But I think what it does mean that clearly the choices are so broad and wide that we're going to have to go in true car award style. We're going to have to take ourselves away to some 5-star hotel with every car that's under consideration and spend at least a weekend evaluating and arguing before we get to the list, and then making an announcement at some swanky dinner or other.
And thank God that the merch sales will do that, cover that. Otherwise, we could be looking stupid when it comes to the checking out process.
Not so much a swanky dinner as bring your own picnic.
As long as it's cheese balls, I'm happy. I like a cheese ball.
Cheese ball or cheese board or both? You like a cheese ball on your cheese board?
No, cheese boards bore me. I just don't get it. Ugh, some horrible cheeses on a cheese board. Yeah, but a cheese ball, what is it? It's reconstituted starch scraped out of the tanks when they've made a few bags of crisps, and then they blast air through it, and then they cover it in fake cheese, and there's your cheese ball, and I'm happy as Larry.
But the well-known saying is, "I like a cheese board. It's not a cheese ball." It's cheese board.
My even more well-known saying is, "I like a cheese ball." I like 3D printing. All
these months, I've thought you were saying board, not ball.
Oh, really? No, it's cheese ball. There was someone on the telly box who said something. It's a line I've stolen. I like a cheese ball.
The board, cheese board. I like a cheese board. I'm sure it's cheese. Anyway,
we're going off topic.
I like a cheese board. I like a cheese board with a bit of celery and all that sort of stuff.
Oh God, no, man! Have some self-respect.
And grapes.
No, see, that's what I don't get. That's so like 17th century to me.
Yeah.
And your problem with that is, forsooth.
Anyway, moving seamlessly, I think you like to see, seamlessly on to another thing many people don't get, which is the joy, indeed pleasure and happiness and satisfaction and contentment that I derive from digging out old slot cars and running them around my track.
Is this going to be a new feature at what Scott's dug out of his plastic bags?
Yes. I've been meaning it to be. It's got to be a thing. Scott, what Scott's dug out? Anyway, this week, or well, technically last week, before I went to America, I dug out some old Ninko DTMs, so the Alpha, the Merc, Calibra, and in the same crate were some SCX touring cars and some Fly touring cars, so the BMW, the Alphas, the old SCX BMW.
Hang on, also there. The Alpha 156.
Yeah, something like that, and also the 147, same chassis, even though it should have been a front. Well, they both should have been front-wheel drive cars, but
no, and we're not getting away with that. I will swear to the gods that my 156 was front-wheel drive, and that was the source of disappointment. Or am I wrong in that?
No, the motor was mounted right by the guide, but it was driving the rear wheels.
Front-wheel drive. I'm with you. And now I understand what front-wheel drive means. Apologies.
Well, no, the real cars were front-wheel drive. Anyway, going off that. But the great thing was, those Ninkos must be 20 years old because they were the original cardboard box Ninkos. The Calibra is slightly later because it was in a plastic case. And the Fly cars are not quite as old, but nearly. But the SCX M3 is 25, 30 years old, maybe. And they all run. The tyres are all round, and the tyres still grip. And I had to turn the voltage up because, they're a little bit... those motors need a bit more than 9 volts. But, straight out of the box, great. I'm happily tanking round. There's not got the finesse and the detail of modern cars. Well, the Fly cars have, but the SCX and Ninko don't. But just great fun, absolutely great fun. And happily just lap after lap, put another one on, lap after lap. A little bit of oiling here or there, just to kind of, because the old joints were creaking because they'd been in a box for 20 years. But the most remarkable, not the most remarkable thing, but a remarkable thing was the original tyres still soft, still grippy, not turned into mush or concrete. And this is kind of one of my perennial questions about modern slot cars. There's somewhere along the line the guys have changed the formula, haven't they? They've taken something out or added something in. I don't know what. Probably because it kills hippopotamuses in the Serengeti or something. But the old tyres just worked and they lasted. And can we have more of those, please?
So while you were soliloquizing your ode to Ninko,
it's a brand we don't talk about much because they're not making any cars. But
that's why.
nothing's really gone. It's all on eBay. It's all at swap meets.
Jeez, I thought you were going to get very existential on me there. Like, nothing's ever gone, Pedro.
Nothing's ever gone.
We're all just stardust and cheese balls.
But great cars, great models, run perfectly out of the box. Buy 2 or 3 of them, you've got instant class for the club. A lot to be said for it.
I know you're waxing lyrical. I'm really blown away by your Ninko DTMs. But I have just realised, if we are stardust, then cheese balls are stardust. Now that blows my mind. However, getting back on track, Ninko. I just googled Ninko, and they are were set up.
I'm just making a note that I'm going to make my fortune by rebranding cheese balls as stardust balls and selling them to gullible people called Peter.
Come on, pop quiz. When do you think Ninko first established themselves?
Ooh.
Gonna have to rush your corner.
I got my first Ninko car in 1995, so I'm going to say 1994.
Well, you were 1 year out, as that man on the road likes to say. 1 year out, 1993.
And the first car was the Clio?
Yeah, I believe it was, which I used to have in a little anniversary box with a book, and I sold it on eBay. What was I going to say? See, I've lost the train. The Ninko DTMs.
So that is 30 years ago then.
Whoa, man, does
this
maths
year anniversary
on
anniversary, the Ninko anniversary. We should have. Yeah. We should get the merch team, get some Ninko anniversary T-shirts made.
Well, they were much loved, weren't they? And unfortunately, I think the lads who set it up sold out, and basically to a toy company who were more interested in cheap and nasty
making money.
Controls. Yeah, making
money. I think for those who weren't around at the time, and there are people younger than us, although you don't see them at swap meets, it was a bit of a revelation. I mean, the kind of the Skeletric car of its day was okay, but it was kind of a loose interpretation of the shape, and a Ninko car was pretty accurate, and straight axles, round wheels, all that good stuff. It stayed in the slot. By today's standards, but as I say, huge amounts of fun. See, I think it's a little bit like historic motorsport has grown in popularity, hasn't it? So you get Goodwood and Classic Le Mans and all this sort of things. Crowds, not only are people restoring these cars and enjoying racing them, but crowds of people pay to go and watch them. Well, it's kind of the same with slot cars. I'll just get my old Ninkos out and have my own little festival of speed revival. Call it what you like.
On a sort of vaguely related, I did a little bit of work on my track last night, so I might soon be able to get my Ninkos, because there's a few cars that are in boxes that I will never put on the Bay of E, and my DTM Ninkos are first and foremost in that group. I'm trying to think of other Ninkos that I might still have. I've probably got
McLaren.
We've got a wealth of McLarens, and they're not hidden away. They're on a shelf all to themselves. I think there are about 14 of those buggers.
Wow,
sweetly pretty. Yeah, I think so. Really like those. But yes, I did a bit of back and deckering yesterday. I may or may not have black and deckered into a screw and knackered my drill bit. That might have happened. So at the
When you say
moment,
say
work is
black
somewhat.
and deckering, what were you trying to make? You're not using
Well,
the black and... Are you hand routing with a black and decker?
it's going to be a very erratic line.
Skidding across bits of plywood.
No, mate, I'm doing this seriously. I'm doing this technically. I'm doing this professionally. I've got, well, at the moment,
no one's paying you to do it, but anyway.
That's a very good point. Well done. I'm with you on that.
Although, I think the definition's moved. I hope you've been filming it for a series of Pedro makes slot car track videos.
I would say it's a good job I haven't been filming it, because otherwise there would be footage of me wondering why my drill wasn't going through this piece of wood and then discovering a screw that I was trying to black and decker into. I'm going to have 3 baseboards. And they will bolt together, and so I was cutting. No, I was drilling holes for my dowels to go in, so that the boards will locate. Yeah,
wow.
they'll be doweled together, like male, female dowel and L, and then bolted together with these little adjustable clampy things. So I'm making
very professional.
Actually, doesn't it? I don't make a living doing it.
Not yet. Given, slot mods started somewhere. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I bet they never black and deckered into screws, did they?
Well, possibly not. I loathe to ask this because I know an artist such as yourselves, doesn't do things by a timetable,
and I can't be pigeonholed.
So we only have to look at your white kit building to notice that. But
how
is there
any?
Do
you think I bought last week?
Oh no! I'm going to safely say it's more than you finished. So the net number of kits has increased. But anyway, going back to the track, because is there even in the best Mrs. That's going to be longer than you think kind of builder thing? What's your estimate when you're going to have it ready, finished, plugged in?
I thought you
were
saying
going round.
I thought you'd say 4 Mrs. How long's your straight? Because size is all important. How long till it's finished? I wouldn't like to say.
Is weather a factor? I mean, I don't know. You have to do certain things before the winter closes in, because we are halfway through the year technically.
Oh, no! That was so sad to pick up on that news yesterday. Yesterday had lots of bad news: submarines, and actually, was it yesterday? And the summer solstice. So now the nights are drawing in. That's outrageous.
Nights drawing in. I mean, you're racing the weather now. Anyway, so because I'd like, I'll invest. I'll divert hard saved cash from buying more from Pendle to put petrol in my tank and come and visit and drive on your new. I mean, we need a launch party. These are ribbon cutting.
2050 in that case, if you're coming.
2050. Thank you very much.
I reckon.
I might bring with me a little 1/32 celebrity to cut the ribbon. In fact,
what, with his fingers?
With his little fingers, yeah. We could get Dave Slaughter's thumbs up man to come and give the track the thumbs up. You see.
Hi,
Dave, by the way. Hello.
Yeah, I do. Hello, Dave. That's not a thing. You can't say hello to people on podcasts when they're not there. Except now I have an image of him in his shed listening to us jabber on. And we say hello, Dave, and he just raises his coffee mug and goes, "Hello, boys," and continues on.
Probably worrying that we know where he lives and we might show up.
I am definitely going to try and finish it within the next couple of months, because I've got ambitions, foolish ambitions possibly. I believe I'm going to try and solder each and every join of the track.
Why?
For electrical continuity, mate.
What track are you using?
Ninko. Do you know they were established in 1993?
I heard recently that's the case. Yeah. What Ninko's not particularly bad, but you could always do the copper tape over the joints thing.
No, because that's rubbish.
It's a lot easier than trying to solder every joint.
But does it last?
Does it matter? I mean,
Can I ask you another question that you can answer with
well,
another question?
it's sort of. If are you absolutely fixed on the layout, you're not going to see. You might drive it and go, I want to just change that corner,
No.
or I might want to just
Okay,
make that
so
street a little bit shorter, or
part of the production delays are going to be once the boards are ready. I do intend to not fully commit, unlike me, too soon, and have a little practice. The only trouble is because it's so tight and twisty.
tight and twisty.
It's going to be tight and twisty. Oh, she's going to be a tight and twisty one. More twisty
Here's
than a twisty thing.
And now over to Peter at the tight and twisty.
I think we just named it the tight and twisty.
The tight and twisty. Is that? That's not an Oxford accent, is it? What am I doing? Scotsman Muller's accent. So anyway, Boston.
I think I was doing more Worsley Somerset. That's what I was doing. Anyway, I want to run it a bit, but it will need borders, and I will have to fashion borders out of cork tiles.
Everything borders. Yeah. You know what it's like: bringing up children, running governments. Everything needs borders. So, boundaries. Anyway, yeah.
Do governments use cork tiles for their borders?
If only.
Is that the mistake the Ukrainians made? They didn't have enough cork tiles stacked up on the border.
Yeah, I pass. At this point, I think I should point out to listeners who I hope enjoy our title music that you will be playing and editing in after we've finished all this.
Shall I hum the tune so people remind?
Go on. Give us a bit. Give us a bit of tune. Go on.
That's about all I could do.
Anyway, it was written by a Ukrainian.
Was it really?
Oh. Yes.
Hey.
It's called Catch It.
Oh, we should pay something rather than it is royalty free, isn't it?
It is.
I hope.
Pay something.
Well, just siphon off a bit of the merch sales.
Listen, as it stands, I'd happily give him 50% of the merch sale profit.
Whoa, I don't think I'd go that far.
Okay. Anyway, no. So the music is written by a Ukrainian, which I quite like. I quite like the music.
What, the music or the yeah, I like both. Anywho, so you said something earlier, and I was going to link into it by saying something else, and I'll say that now without the actual link. So we did at Oxford. We did 2 new classes in the last 2 meetings. We ran the monopostos for the first time, and we ran sideways GT3s for the first time.
And how did that go down?
The monopostos, you're
quite a traditional club, aren't you? Sort of, you're not change agile. Would it be fair to say?
Well, don't know how to take that, Scott. You're basically saying we're stuck in the past.
Or just old men, basically. Yeah. But anyway, let me know. So the monopostos, by which you mean the polycar modern Formula One car?
Yeah, I'm not really sure I want to share this information with you anymore.
Go on.
Okay. The monopostos, it was a mixed reception, I think, judging by the WhatsApp group the next day. Several people not being fans of the way that they fall apart. Somebody else pointing out that they are designed to fall apart and not break. Wings come off front and rear.
They're held on magnets, aren't they?
No, as they come, they're not held on at all. So you get this little clip thing that you fit in, or you go and buy some magnets. I have bought magnets for mine, and for the front wing, this is. And I have also. I took it into the Oxford Centre for Technical Excellence and Technical Speed, and I drilled out for want of a better word, nipples that are on the wing, and put in a bit of dowel, tiny plastic dowel, to kind of magnets and dowels hold my front wing in place, and mine stayed put. But then, it did. No, mine stayed put the whole evening. I thought they went quite well. They were very different. They aren't as fast as other things. Unfortunately, we back-to-back them with Polycar F1 Classic stylies, and those are little rocket ships. And it was an interesting, and I thought quite accurate kind of comment on F1, in that F1 cars are now massive Although they're still quite fast. But these the monopostos were mahusive compared to the classics, and not quite as nippy. They felt sluggish, which is fine. But
that's it. And now I'm genuinely so. I would have thought their length and width and general low ground hugginess would have lent them some speed. But is your track quite twisty? Then is it? Is it more
no.
Monaco than Monza? Is it, or what was?
Oh, it's definitely not Monza. What is it? It's more Brands Hatchy. No, because our straight is straight. I don't know. They're not that much heavier. The wheels, there's more gearing, I think, in the rear wheels, in that they're taller slightly, so they probably take a little bit more oomph to get going. But that should result in more terminal velocity. I don't know. They're geared the same as the F1 classics, I believe, but they just felt slower, and they were definitely more tail happy, which caused some incidents. But I enjoyed running them, definitely.
Do you think it'll be interesting? But do you think this is because this is first time people have raced them, so getting to know them and getting they were maybe they'll get faster and a bit more agile as people become more familiar with them?
I think there's a degree of that. There's I have to be careful what I say because people might be listening in.
No, I think you're safe there.
Good point, well made. I think there's a degree of that. There is a degree of Ludditism, possibly.
Do you want to explain that to our overseas listeners?
No.
Okay.
Well, the Luddites were a group of people who went around in 18th, 19th century England, and they burnt down mills that were trying to, industrialize things.
They smashed up early industrial equipment because they could see it was taking away the jobs.
Little did they know about ChatGPT,
ATP, or whatever it's called.
Plus, whatever it is.
It's all, you see, there's nothing new in the world. It's all just history repeating. Cue Shirley Bassey.
That was in my head as soon as you said it. That was very good.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we don't get hit with copyright. So as long as everybody has got that song in their head,
okay, everybody hum along. The two Americans, the imaginary Canadian, the Frenchman, the other peeps, the Danish guy, whatever.
Don't forget the Sultan of Brunei.
Oh, Sultan of Brunei. Sorry, Your Lordship, Highness, Majesty, whatever. The Huracan, the Sideways. I ran my Huracan. I also ran my Lexus Huracan, and they were just as good as you expect them to be because those things, they're quite stuck down. They're smooth. They're fast. I enjoyed them immensely. So a little bit of stuff there about what we did in Oxford last week.
Good. But it's fairly unusual for you to introduce a new class, isn't it?
That's the second dig you've had.
It's not a dig. It's not a dig.
Is.
I'm a great believer in traditions. But I'm adding colour to the discussion by emphasising that it's not just every week you go, hey, there's a new class, let's all buy new cars. You guys, you don't add new classes on a whim.
No, I'm still not comfortable with your attitude. No, this is very true. We don't. For us to be running the Sideways GT3s, how long have they been out? Probably 2-3 years, and we've finally got around to running.
More than that, surely.
Really?
When did you
establish in 1993?
When did you start your Huracan white kit?
This is outrageous.
We still had a Queen, for example. Yeah,
I have completed one. One of them is up and running.
Okay, I want the listeners to imagine I want the listeners to imagine a screen graphic. So on one axis, there's a little bar that says "Sideways white kits that Pedro has finished 1." And next to it, there's a little bar which is going to grow animation style, going bing, 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 bing. How many white kits he's got? So 1 completed. How many have you got?
But you didn't think I was serious when I said how many white kits did I buy last week?
Sorry, I'm going to have to press you for an answer.
I did buy another one last week. I found a set of decals, so it was the honourable thing to do. You can't have
Obviously.
decals just sitting around not being put on things.
So a £7.50 set of decals justifies a £50 car purchase.
I think they might have been more than that because they were slot fabric, I believe.
Anyway, you're avoiding the question: how many yet to be built white kits have you got?
Oh, actual yet to be built.
Yes,
one.
As opposed to the.
I have a plethora as WIP. I've got 2 M6s, 3 Huracans, the Bentley Continental, a McLaren 720.
This is sounding like a well-known Christmas song.
And Aston Martin. It's like the generation game. The things
on the first day of Christmas, my true love said to me,
things went past on the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
But only this morning, I got up early and I went out and I sprayed a bit of black on the Aston. And that's not a euphemism.
Have you got... well, you're talking about spraying, and just to level up, to open up the opportunity for abuse the other way around, shall I talk about how well it's going building my oil drip man?
Yeah, because that must have a lot of pieces to it, and there must be a lot of priming and various different colours.
Priming? You don't do priming? I probably should do priming. Well, dear listener, I got an oil drip man kit from Magnetic Racing, and I was very excited about it. And I thought, I'll go and buy some new rattle cans of paint to do that. Then I found out how much rattle cans of paint now are, because I haven't bought one of those for about 30 years. So I thought, sod that for a game of soldiers. I'm sure I've got some somewhere. Sure enough, I found a cardboard box full of tins of aerosol modelling paint, which really for radio controlled shells. But anyway, any political storm.
You did radio control?
Well, yes. And excuse me. So there was some cans, and some were completely empty. None had actually been used for 10, 15 years. So I started kind of finding the right colours, and of course they were a bit spluttery, and I thought, it's going to run out of gas, I have to do it all now. And so without rubbing any of the wood down, without priming anything, I over-sprayed, and of course it's all gone bubbly and lumpy, and I have to rub it down. And some of it, I don't think is even dry. The yellow may not be dry even yet. I think that's
what?
Well, it was very tacky to the touch. So whilst it's only one kit that I've bought and one kit that I've started and one kit that I've yet to finish, it is really a case of one step forward and 2 steps back, because I'm now going to have to sand it all down. I probably will have to buy paint. But the reason it came to mind was you mentioned you'd slipped out early this morning and sprayed a bit of black. Have you also got white, blue, and yellow spray things? Because I could bring my oil drip man up with me and just add it, slide it onto the end of the desk
the
beside all of the white kits.
But that means you wouldn't see it for another 5 years.
Well, I'm not known for my speed. That was a whistle.
Whoa, what the hypocrisy when you are accusing me of being a little bit sluggish with my production.
Exactly. I said it was an opportunity for you to slag me back. So, yeah. This is why, and a serious point, Mimi, and I think the Magnetic Racing kits are great, and there's that great sort of expression of it, if it's a hobby, be a hobbyist sort of thing. But
what?
No.
Well, what? If there's a
I like, and the manufacturers know this, don't they? So, although buying a completely built thing, car, building, bits of scenery, whatever, is more expensive and possibly limiting because there's not as wide a choice, I reckon for most people, that's what they'd rather do than have a kit and paint it and glue it and build it, because we don't have the time and the skills and the inclination. Yeah. We'd rather have it finished. And I kind of fall into that category. So although I, willingly and enthusiastically bought the Oil Man kit, I probably should have said to them, have another 10 guineas and paint it for me or whatever.
Guineas. Bless your heart. You Waitrose shoppers are all the same, aren't you? You said
Anyway,
something at the beginning that I tried to pick you up on. You said something like there is a well-known phrase or saying, if you're going to have a hobby, be a hobbyist, or something like that. And I have never heard that before, and I think you're making it up, and I'm calling you out on it.
no, and it's not. It's not. I am quoting from someone else.
Churchill. Churchill never said that.
Churchill will fight them on the beaches, and if you're going to be a hobbyist, no, and I get. I think it's. I think it's Dave Kennedy actually, but I may be wrong. So apologies if it's somebody else. But I think no, and I think it's a valid point that you buy these cars. Well, is it a valid point? You buy a slot car, you take it out of the box, and it might not work straight away. You've got to do things to it. So, is that right or wrong? I don't know. And this is again, I think the debate. Carrera, SCX, Skeletric. Pretty much, you buy a car, take it out of the box, and it'll work fine. I don't see why a polycar, a slot, a sideways, or blah 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 blah. All these other things shouldn't be roughly the same. Now, but that's other people disagree because they want to change everything. It's the broad church of slot. But I'm very much dear listener, I am presently holding and could be accused of stroking my recently acquired Fly 934 in elf livery from Le Mans.
Just for the dear listener, just so you're aware, he is holding it, but he has only just now held it actually up to the camera. Before, all I could see was the roof line because he didn't know where his camera was properly. Well, now I've got full.
No, you do. Now the more it's blocked, you can't see my face, so it's a definite. Anyway, it's a lovely thing, and I speculated before it had arrived that I was hoping that it would be one of the Fly 934s that just the wheels went round when you brought it out of the box, because it's not always guaranteed. And pretty much it is. The rear wheels and the mesh and everything is good. The front wheels just ever so slightly rub on the chassis. So appalled as I am, I may have to do some chassis shaving. Stop the chassis shaving. And I suppose this is what I'm going to be a hypocrite say. I don't mind. I would rather I just took the car out of the box and it ran. How difficult should that be? But I sort of accept that with Fly, sometimes you've just got to just give a little bit of clearance or something. But anyway, I slightly digress because I'm sort of looking at my new Porsche and it's very lovely.
You've gone all wispy-eyed and
I've gone all middle-aged man, jet-lagged. That's I am for the camp which says you should be able to buy a car, take it out of the box, and run it. Yes, you might want to do things to make it faster, but you should still just take it out of the box and run it.
But what's your point? Are you saying that Fly won't run? That Fly will run because the magnet will just push it through. The front, the rubbing on the chassis won't.
Yeah, the one thing I do as a matter of course is take the magnet out.
You are just so close to being a tuner, aren't you? I want to congratulate you because you fought it hard. I can see the sweat on your brow. You've tried not to mention tyres this whole podcast, but you've been itching to, haven't you? You've been itching to mention tyres.
Have I not? You'll have to help me. Why am I itching? Careful how you answer that.
Because you're on a slippery slope to tunerdom, and you are becoming a tuner of cars, which you poo-poo.
I'm going to resist. I'm going to resist.
Still resisting.
I think what I do with tyres
is my own business.
Effectively use them to get stuff that's not running properly. So the tyres are rock hard or they've melted or whatever. But I'd take it at next stage. It's almost like balance of performance. What do I mean? So when I bought the NSR tyres for the Carrera Porsche and I tried them on the Skeletrix Porsche and I found that it fitted both. And suddenly those cars are kind of on parity. So the tyres are clearly the dominant thing. So it means that rather than making allowances for Carrera being a bit heavier and the gearing being a bit taller, yada, 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 fit those tyres and my GT3 cars are all the same, and they're not far off a sideways car. So it's kind of like balance of performance, but the real route into it is the tyres have the standard tyres have lost so much grip that they need to be replaced. I'd rather, as I mentioned before, like my old Ninkos and SCX. The tyres last forever. Great.
But as it is, you have to tune things. Change the tyres.
It's not tuning. It's not tuning. No.
It's tuning. Scott.
Yes.
We've been wittering on for 54 and a half minutes. I think these people need a reprieve.
Well, given that we're two old men, that's not bad that we can do that without a break, to be honest.
A comfort break, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Younger listeners, ask your grandfather. Anyway, this was the episode that wasn't meant to happen because I wasn't around to do it. And here I am, having been up for 46 hours or whatever it is now, whittering on. So if it doesn't make any sense, blame jet lag. If you have enjoyed it, just God knows why. But thank you.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, particularly if they're in a country where we've not got a listener yet, which is a diminishing number. Is there anything you would like to round up by looking ahead to? What's the next? What's episode 20? Next one is episode 27.
Ah, the tricky 27th episode, as they say in the podcast world.
The difficult 27th episode. What does the number 27 mean to you in a motor racing sense?
Could it be something to do with the slotted Formula One car we were talking about earlier?
Well,
he said cryptically.
Yeah, I think there's a natural. If the number 27 means Gilles Villeneuve, or does it mean Alan Jones in a Williams?
Or does it mean Leclerc ripping off someone's helmet design?
You'll have to fill me in on that one. I don't know what that's about. Is that modern Formula One?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Whatever.
No harm done.
So maybe the next episode will be about numbers. Then again, it might not.
Oh my God, we were trying to entice people to listen, not.
It's not going to be about numbers, right? Anyway, thank you for listening. It's probably we don't know when we're going to publish because we're recording it when we usually publish it, so all sorts of magic has to go on in the background. We know how slow Pedro is at doing magic, so it's probably going to be Sunday. But anyway, thanks for listening. Happy slotting, and we'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.